uh, everyone to join in. A great day to you all. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on whichever part of the world you're at. Thanks for joining us. Well, we are absolutely privileged to be joined today by Kevin Gaskell. Kevin, is a person who has led many iconic brands. And Porsche is one of them. He took over Porsche when they were very, very close to bankruptcy and turned them around quite drastically to a company that then was 5 years later the most profitable car company in Germany. And then he took over a different challenge of being with BMW, which was already at the very top. Having said that, he still was able to manage 80% upward sales and 500% profitability. And I request everyone to keep their microphones on, or sorry, themselves on mute. Thank you. He also took over Lamborghini, and they bought it as a brand, not the car. And one of his videos were quite funny. He said, "We bought the brand, the company for $100,000, not the car, because often the car is worth much more than that number." But on another side, he used to be an international cricketer. Right now, he relaxes by just playing in a rock band. He's ventured to the North and South Pole. He was just sharing a story with us how they've recently set a world record in rowing across the Atlantic. So the guy's amazing, and we have him all for us for the next 60 minutes. Kevin, thank you very much for doing this. A very warm welcome to you. You will be talking to me about inspirational leadership. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Emma. I'm going to share my screen. And when I share my screen, if you see my face obscuring the slide, then you can minimize it and move it off to one side. So I'm going to talk about success in adversity, because what we're seeing at the moment is an extraordinary situation. I've led businesses through economic recessions, stock market crashes, unemployment at 12% in the country. I've led businesses where our sales have dropped off hugely, but this is pretty unique. I'm sitting here in my home office, as probably many of you are, and I think I've grown roots because I've been sitting here now for 5 weeks without moving, and it is becoming very testing. I'm spending a lot of my time keeping my management teams, and today I'm chairman of 5 companies. A lot of my time is about keeping my management team excited, keeping them positive, recognizing that, the challenge we're facing now, if you break it down to its core principles, is about cash flow, is about losing customers, is about communication. Those problems we've all seen before. If you take the COVID umbrella away from it, the actual business issues and the team communication issues are the same as we've ever seen. And so I'm spending all of my time keeping my teams aware, keeping them awake, keeping them excited. And I want to share with you how we've been doing that. It starts with having a passion for what you're doing. You just heard that a couple of years ago, I put together a team of guys who wanted to share a dream. And that dream was, we believed we could row a little rowing boat across the Atlantic Ocean faster than anybody else had ever done it. It came out as a conversation. We started talking about, was this feasible? What would we do to make that possible? And we selected a team. We selected very carefully 5 of us who would make this crossing. The challenge itself is huge. We are going to row a plastic rowing boat from Spain to Antigua. That's across 100 million square miles of Atlantic Ocean. Oh, and just to make it more difficult, we're going in the winter. So we're going in the winter. across this ocean. We know we're going to face storms. We know the challenges are going to be immense. So we train. We train ourselves in navigation, in sea survival, in first aid, in understanding how to make this boat go quickly across the ocean. None of us had ever rowed before. Not one of us had ever been in an ocean-going rowing boat. But this is our boat. This is our team. We shared that dream. Off we went. We set off from Spain. We were so excited, so keen. This was in December of last year, only 5 months ago. We set off into the Atlantic Ocean, so excited, believing that we were prepared to address any challenge that would come our way. The first day we rowed 80 miles. That night, the weather started to change. The weather came in on us. Now, I'd never been in an Atlantic storm before, and I'd certainly never seen one from the inside out. That night, we got hammered, absolutely hammered by seas that I can't even describe to you. Taller than trees, crashing onto us. The boat was blasted. We were all over the place. The oars on our boat were carbon fiber. The diameter of the oars, 3 inches, 75 millimeters, designed never to break. We got hit by one wave, it broke 2 of our oars clean in half. Those are our 2 spare oars gone. So what do? Well, the first thing we do is go into the boat and tie ourselves in, because we're being tossed all over the place. We're tied into the boat so we can't fall out. The boat is moving around, turning over. We believe if we fall back on our training, on our team spirit, on the culture that we've developed as a team, we'll be okay. We get through the night. We have a meeting in the morning. The sea's calmed a little bit. We ask each other, what should we do? We're only 80 miles from shore. We could go back. We could go back. We could turn around and go back, and we could limp to shore. Or we can stick with the dream we have. And the dream we have is to get across that ocean faster than anybody else has ever done. It will mean we have to change our row patterns. It will mean we have to sleep less. It will mean we have to row harder than we've ever rowed. We decided that that is what we would do. So for the next 35 days, we rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. We arrived in Antigua at the end of January as new world record holders. 35 days, 19 hours, and 50 minutes of rowing. In terms of weight, I wasn't fat before I started, but we lost about 15 kilos each on that crossing. It was an extraordinary physical challenge, but more than that, it was a mental challenge. That's what we're facing now. We're facing a mental challenge in our businesses. How do we maintain that positivity? How do we make sure our teams know where they're going? I believe that behind every success prowls a dream. Whether that dream is about building a great business or crossing the ocean in a rowing boat or climbing a mountain, it doesn't matter. That is the dream. And I believe that people are extraordinary. If we can maintain that dream, if I can engage people in the dream, engage people in wanting to achieve something that is extraordinary, then we can do anything. We can do anything. Do you know that polls by Harvard Business Review and Gallup suggest that the average level of engagement in a business is less than 30%? If I asked all of your staff, fewer than 30% would say, yeah, I'm engaged. That means that we're losing 70% of the contribution that people could make to help us to build something that is extraordinary. I took over Porsche when it was in a terrible situation. We'd lost 90% of our sales. Out of 32 brands in the marketplace, we were number 32 in customer satisfaction. We couldn't go any further down. Nowhere to go. We're the bottom. And just when you think it can't get any worse, they make you managing director. I was 32 years old. I was as green as grass. I knew nothing. I'd been in that business for 5 years, but in terms of leading it, I knew nothing. I wasn't the leader. I'd grown up through that company, and then they asked me to run it. And they asked me, simple reason, nobody else would do it. When I looked at the business, I realized that what we all shared was a passion for the product. What we didn't have was a way to translate that passion into a plan to rebuild the company. So that's where we started. We asked ourselves, what should we be? Where should we be in terms of market? And somebody said, okay, we should be in the top 10. Okay, top 10. Somebody else said, no, we should be in the top 3. Okay, top 3. And then one guy said, we should be number 1. We should be number 1. Why should we not be number 1? And I said, Adrian, you're right. You're right. We should be number 1. Let's set our stall out. Let's make sure everything we do is focused on taking us to number 1. Let's not leave any stone unturned. Let's look at our business with fresh eyes. Let's open every door. Let's look what's in there. Let's understand how we do things. How do we relate to our customers? What is it that we can do that's different, that's better? How do we become world class? Somebody, somewhere is world class. We looked outside our business. We looked for examples. We visited other companies. We visited other organizations. We went to sports companies. We went to hospitality. We looked at the best hotels in the world. We looked at airlines. We looked at the best technology companies in the world. And we were very open. We said, we're here to learn. We'll share what we've got. And they always said, well, can we drive your cars? We said, sure, you can drive the cars, but tell us how to run a better business. And we translated those ideas back into the world of Porsche. We looked at every part of the business. We changed every part of the business. And 4 years later, we were number 1 for customer service. We were number 1 for profitability. It was the same team of people. We didn't change anybody. What we changed was the mindset, the way that we organized ourselves to transform our business. Then I was asked to run BMW. Very different kind of challenge. At Porsche, the adversity was immense. We were on the edge. We'd nearly failed as a company. We had 3 years unsold inventory in that business. I came to BMW, everything was okay. It's okay. But actually it wasn't. The adversity there was different. The adversity at BMW was that everybody wanted our customers. Lexus, Jaguar, Audi, everybody wanted a BMW customer. And so we were losing customers. And I was given a plan when I joined. There's the plan, Kev. We love what you did at Porsche, but that was all a bit rocky, wasn't it? This one actually makes money, so you don't need to break it. I said, I didn't break Porsche. We took it to pieces and we put it back together again. But what we did more than anything was we combined the passion of the team into creating something extraordinary. So at BMW, they said, well, here's the plan. Please grow our business according to this plan. And the plan was 4% growth. Oh, great, 4% growth. Well, 4% is okay, but it's kind of the market. And so what we did was change the way we thought about this business. Let's imagine what we could do. Let's imagine what we could be. And we started to examine the business piece by piece. The talent in the business was enormous. The engagement was okay, but people weren't excited about what we were producing. And our customers had lost sight of what we were producing. People were buying the badge. Hey, I'm driving the BMW brand. They weren't admiring the product. They weren't enjoying the service we were providing. And so we changed it. We changed the way that we related to our customers. And so with the same team of people, in 4 years, instead of growing that business at 4%, we grew it by 80%. We grew operating profit by 500%. My parent board, at first, they fought me. Kev, this is a crazy idea. I said, yeah, but let me try it. And I realized after a while that they were all Germans. They all thought in very neat square boxes. And so I had to learn to present in neat square boxes. And I said, listen, guys, I'm an engineer. That's my qualification. I understand square boxes, but let's push the boundary. Let's expand the box. So the way we communicated with the board changed. We were able to engage them in our plan. We grew the business by 80% and the profit by 500% with the same team of people. So I believe that there are 3 stages to achieving lasting success. The first is commit. To absolutely commit to achieving something that's extraordinary. The second is connect. to make sure that everybody in the team understands where we're going, how they play a part in it, how they can help to create something that is world class. Because the third piece is create. And that is create magic, create fun, use people's inspiration, get people inspired about the business. Where these overlap, that is inspiration. It's not motivation, it's a different thing. Motivation tends to be short term. I'll pay you some more money. Fine, I'm motivated. No, no, no. This is about inspiration. Let's create something that is extraordinary. Let's create something that we look back on and say, hey, look what we did. Look what we created. Starts with commit. Absolutely commit. If you're not committed to it, it won't happen. It really won't happen. It is a determination to make it different. This is where Dare to Dream comes from. This is about recognizing that looking for next year to be like this year plus a bit is nowhere near enough. When we look at companies, when I look at companies today, I ask the team to dream. I say, what is your plan? Well, we're going to grow next year by 4%. Yeah, okay. I say, give them a challenge. I say, well, forget the 4%. Forget the 4%. And they go, all right. I say, how could you do 40%? They go, what? Oh, no, no. No. Oh, it's all right. Let me make it easy for you. Don't do 40%. Do 400%. And people look at me like I'm crazy. I say, come on. If you had to grow this business by 400% next year, and I gave you all the resources you wanted, people, money, technology, whatever it is, all the resource, what would you do? People start thinking, start talking. We start laughing because some of the ideas are crazy. But you know what? We start dreaming. We start imagining what could be possible. Where could we take this business? We take away the limits. Don't talk about numbers. It's not about numbers. What could you be? What could we do? But then we need to move. Then it's like eating a frog. You know what I say about eating a frog? If you're going to eat a frog, whatever you do, don't look at it for too long. It does not get any more appetizing. You need to move fast, learn fast, make mistakes fast. Because when we're growing at the kind of pace that we want to grow at, we're not looking for market share. Stop talking about market share, I say to the team. I don't care about market share. I care about opportunity share, which is a different thing. Where is the new opportunity? Where can we go that other people are not looking? Today, I have one of my companies growing 100% this year, 100%. This is a business who everyone said to us, it'll stop. Hasn't stopped yet, and it's not going to. Last year, one of my companies grew at 400%. It's not a startup. We went into a whole new market that we dreamed of entering, and we found a way to get into it. 400%. It is about getting on and moving forwards. I hear a lot of excuses when I go into businesses. People tell me, you know, hey, look, the market, Kev, look, the market's bad. Hey, you know, we're going to have to drop our prices. No, no. Let's not talk about price. Let's not talk about price, because my experience of dealing with your company is not just about price. Price is one dimension. Price is a number. The reality of being successful is providing a total experience. Price is part of that experience. One of the mistakes we made at Porsche was believing we sold cars. We didn't sell cars. Cars were part of the product. What we actually sold was the Porsche experience. By the time somebody had walked into a Porsche showroom, they had already done hours and days and weeks of research into this wonderful brand. And if they came in and were then disappointed, it all fell apart. So we worked so hard to change the experience, the way that people related to our brand. We worked so hard to make that distinct, whichever way they looked at it. And you know, we said we want to be world class. World class is three-dimensional, absolutely three-dimensional. If I come into your business, would I see world class? What would it look like? The way you present yourselves, the way the product's presented, the way the team are presented. Can I see world class? Do I hear world class? Do your team have the product knowledge? Do they relate to me as a client in the way I expect to be related to? Does it sound like world class when I walk into the business? But most importantly, does it feel like world class? Is this something I want to be associated with? If I relate to your business, is that going to make my life easier, better, more enjoyable? My product and service will be enhanced by your product and service. What is the feeling that you give to your customers? When we set out to become world class, we start with that dream. But we need to connect. We need to make sure everybody in the team understands how are they going to help us to make a difference. What is it that they're going to do? Well, we start at the end. Let's start at the end. What will it look like when we're successful? What will people see? What will they hear? What will they feel? And we talk about it. We describe it. We do it with the whole team. We talk about what it could be like. Can you imagine? What if we were able to? Well, there's nothing stopping us. And when I work with teams, I say to them, paint me the picture of how you could imagine this business to be if it was super successful. Just paint me a picture. Talk to me about it. And then we list all of the tasks that would need to be done to achieve it. And at the end, I say to them, which of those are not in your control? Yes, I know we've got COVID. I get that. But honestly, that's short term. That's short term. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months is still short term. In the lifespan of a business, that's short term. You can overcome that. But let's start at the end and work backwards. If I start at the end, I know what I'm building, and work back to here, that's a straight line. So we build a plan in our business. We focus on 1,000 days. Why 1,000 days? I don't like talking about years. Years are too long. A year could be any, year. Well, we talk about a year, and we talk about half a year. No. Let's talk about days. Let's get the heart rate of the business up. Let's move quickly. So we build a plan. We make it very simple. This is a typical plan for one of our businesses. This is how simple we make it. We make it visible. We put it everywhere in the business. The idea, we need people to understand where they contribute. How do I make a difference to this? What is it that I do that will help us to achieve the goals? How can I help to overcome the difficulties? Because I've got ideas. People are extraordinary. People know how to do their job better than I do. My job is not to be the person that they are. My job is to create the culture and the opportunity for them to bring their skills to bear, for them to contribute to building a great business. And I hear the excuses again and again. Yeah, Kev, we'd love to do that, but we haven't got any money. It's not about money. It's really not about money. At Porsche, we had no money. We had no money. I had 3 years inventory. I was losing 20% on sales. The banks wouldn't touch me. I had no money. We did it in a different way. We asked what we could do without spending money. What could we actually do? You will never outspend your competition. You spend more, they spend more. You spend more, they spend more. It's an arms race of spending. So we don't set out to outspend. What we do is we outthink. They say everybody is at least 5% genius. At least. That means for every 20 people I have who are sharing the same dream, sharing the same passion, 20 times 5 is 100%. I've got a complete genius. So my job as a leader is not to be a genius. It's to be a genius creator. It's to create the culture that allows people to contribute, encourages people to contribute. Getting everybody's ideas and recognizing that we need to move quickly. Don't talk about 3 years. I had a management meeting this morning in one of my companies, and one of my senior managers has got a great idea for a way of improving our product. And he said, well, let's look at it next week. And one of the other senior managers said, why are we waiting? That's 5 days lost. Why are we waiting? And this is the kind of mentality we need. We need to move quickly. Why are we waiting? What's to wait for? Learn quickly, make mistakes quickly. Because even if his idea doesn't work, I'd rather know by next Tuesday than wait till next Tuesday to try it for a week. So we move quickly. We get the heart rate up. This is a plan from one of my companies. This business I joined 2.5 years ago. It's a fiber broadband business. We build fiber networks. The business was dead. It was unfortunate. There'd been fraud in the business. And I was asked to go in by the investors who were recognizing they'd lost all their money. Kev, can you go and have a look at it for us, please? And when I went into this business, I found an extraordinary group of people. Very smart, very dedicated, absolutely passionate about what they did. The challenge was in the leadership line, where the leaders had lost their way because they didn't know where to go anymore. And so we stepped back. We rebuilt a plan. We built a 1,000-day plan. We looked at the opportunities that we had as a business. Hey, the whole world wants fiber networks. Everybody wants more fiber. Everybody wants more data. This is not a difficult sell as long as we are organized enough to be able to deliver it. And so we reorganized the business. We did reappoint a leader in this case. New guy came in as leader. And we built this plan. This is the plan. This is a real picture in that business, a real plan. It's day 775 from 1,000. So we are day 225 into delivering the plan. We count down. We count down every day. And when you take those numbers off, it really gets people thinking. So we get businesses to grow faster. This business will grow 100% this year. We've just had a £50 million investment into this business from a major infrastructure fund. And this business is now really going very, very well. We created the opportunity for people to make the difference. We created the opportunity for people to make magic. And the magic is letting people bring their skills, their passion to bear on the business as a whole. There's no such person as an onlyer. She's only a sales director. He's only a boat cleaner. This team here are from a business called Fairline. Fairline Boats, I was asked to run 4 years ago. And the business had gone through 10 years of losses. It was just about to sink. And we reset the minds of the team. We talked to them about what we could be. In terms of adversity, we sold nothing. The business was going absolutely nowhere. We reset the minds. What can we do? How can we change it? We transformed the whole business entirely from top to bottom by inviting the team to make the difference. I asked them what they wanted to be. I had 1,500 staff. I said, what is it you want to do? They said, we want to build the best motor yachts in the world. These are $5 million boats. And I said, why don't you? They said, because you won't let us. I said, hang on, I've only been here a day. They said, okay, you management won't let us. Now, again, I was asked to go in by the banks who thought this thing was going to sink. And when I started talking with the team and understanding what they were passionate about, it became quite straightforward to apply the process that I speak about to the business. 10 years of losses were converted to profit in 14 months. There's no such person as an onlyer. This is the team from the National Boat Show. This is where we're showing our new product to the world, except we didn't have any new product, but we created new product. We painted the boats a different color. We presented ourselves in a completely different way. We became totally open to our clients. We invited everybody to come on. In the past, children, no, you can't come on to our biggest boats were $10 million. Oh, no, we can't let children on. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? They scratch the boat. We'll fix it. So we made ourselves open. We transformed the way that we dealt with our clients. We transformed the way we dealt with the public. This was the team that did it at the boat show. with no new products, we outsold our competitors 2-1. It was about thinking differently. It was about dreaming about what we could be, what we could do. It's about building trust, treating people as grown-ups, giving people the opportunity to contribute. I never met anybody who wants to do a bad job, never. I've met a lot of people who are doing a bad job, but that's mostly because they don't know what's expected of them. So we give people the chance to grow, to develop with the business, to feel that we believe them. We treat them like grown-ups. And you know what? Sometimes it goes wrong. Sometimes it does. That's the reality of life. But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because it's an opportunity to learn. If it goes wrong, okay, then let's back up. Let's take the tracks back a little bit. Let's realign and let's go again. Let's understand where it went wrong. Let's understand what we can do differently next time. This is about learning. If we don't push that fast, we won't make this mistake. But the truth is, we want to push that fast. So let's not be afraid of making a mistake. What we do is recognize when people do a good job, when people have ideas, when they bring their contribution. We catch people in, we don't catch people out. Oh, you made a mistake. Right, look, they made a mistake. No, we don't talk about that. What we talk about is, thank you. Thank you for that idea. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. You've done a great job. When it goes wrong, that's a quiet conversation. When it goes right, we make a lot of noise about it. The key is making sure people understand that we value them, that they are engaged in this 1,000-day plan that we've built. By doing that, I've been fortunate enough to work with some fantastic teams who actually at the beginning didn't know how fantastic they were. And we worked through some extraordinary adversity. Businesses about to fail that came back to be leaders in the market. I've got a process. I've shared it with you in the last 20 minutes or so. But I believe that if we as leaders can be passionate and excited and engaged about a vision of the future, we will take people with us. They will come with us and they will enjoy the journey. And by doing that, we've built some great companies. If you want more detail, there's my book, Inspired Leadership. It's all in there. All the case studies are in there. The detail of how to do this, how to take it and put it into your business is all in that book, because I give this talk and then people say, well, what should I read? So in the end, I wrote it down and said, read this. That's what I've done for the past 30 years now. Had a lot of fun doing it, and wish you every success doing it for you. Thank you very much for your time.
Enjoyed it, Kevin. I'm sure our participants did so too. We'll be taking some questions, and as they come along, I'll read them out to you. Let me start off first of all by asking you a question, because I'm a moderator and I can do that, so I'll be the first one to ask. No, but honestly, very entertaining, very informative. So when you went from IBM from Porsche to BMW,
yeah,
did you take any of your previous staff with you?
No, didn't change anybody. About 1 year into my time at BMW, my PA retired, and my PA from Porsche applied for the job, and she'd actually been off on maternity leave, and I did recruit her, but she was the only person who transferred from Porsche, and she'd been outside and then came back in. She was the only person who transferred. No, we didn't change anybody. The issue, one of the issues within BMW was that the management had been there a long time, and the fresh ideas had dried up. And so my job was to reignite the ideas fire, to get people thinking again. And I did that with the existing people. I recruited one person into the senior management team, and that was an HR director, because we didn't have an HR director on the board, and I felt we should. And I gave the brief to an agency, and I said, I only have two conditions. One, she must not come from the motor industry. And two, she must not be a he, because I have he's everywhere, and I have no females in the senior team. And in my experience, you know, men are men and women are women, and I think I like to recruit the best person I can find, but you need a balance. In my experience, women think differently than men, and you know, bring the two together, you get double strength. So that was the only person I appointed to the senior team.
Okay, so here we have a question that has come in just now, and it's an interesting one that says, can you tell us about a transformation story of a company where, you know, you were obviously involved, but it did not work?
Yes, I had one in South Africa. It was a technology business, and I couldn't understand why certain things weren't working, and I tried to put the same controls in that I would normally put. The biggest issue, there were two issues in that business. One was I was busy running Fairline, the boat business, which was a full-time job. I joined Fairline as a full-time CEO, so I was very distracted by that turnaround. And two, unfortunately, the guy running the business, he took the business to America, and we found out that he was stealing the money. And he's just been imprisoned in America. So it was pretty serious fraud. The lessons for me of that were I should have listened to the team, because I think the team knew some of what was going on, and I wasn't close enough to it. So lesson for me, it was my fault. I wasn't close enough to the business.
Okay. So another question that has just come in is, you know, what do you think was the main quality in you that took you to the helm of Porsche? You mentioned that you were 32 at the time, and you just you know, got called in by the board, and there was no one else to do this, so they sort of tasked you with it. But you must have had some character trait that you know, instilled that instilled that trust.
Yeah, blind stupidity, I think.
Modesty.
Well, the truth of the story is this. I'd been in the business for 5 years, and I'd watched this business unwind. And previously, so my background is I was an engineer, and then I became an accountant. So I can read a blueprint, I can read a balance sheet. And I came into Porsche with the task of implementing management control systems for the retail networks, because they were very poor at running businesses. And that was my job. And I started doing that, and then I was promoted through the ranks. And the reality is I ended up kind of as a number two or number one operationally in the business by default, because nobody was doing it. And it was driving me nuts that nobody was doing this stuff. So I was getting hold of it and shaking it and fixing it. And the dealer body actually went to the board and said, you need to change the management here because it's not working. And if you want to know who's good, look at this fella, Kevin. He's really good. And I only found this out afterwards. So it was the dealers who'd actually gone to the board and said, you need new management. This guy's good. Give him a chance. Now, my own skills, I never believe in failure. Failure, no, why? And I will work 26 hours a day to be successful. And I enjoy working in a team. And somebody said to me, my wife calls me the most impatient man in the world. So I just get stuff done. And the board interviewed me. And I honestly, I walked into that room. I've told other people this story. The truth is, I phoned my wife. I said, I'll be home in a minute. And she said, why? And I said, well, I'm just about to get fired. And she said, why? I said, well, the business is a mess, and the board have asked to see me. They fired the chief exec. They fired the operations director. I said, I'm expecting to get fired. And so my wife panicked. Oh my goodness, we've got 2 young children. We've got a mortgage. I said, we'll manage. We'll be okay. I'll find a way. I'll find another job. Don't worry. And I walked into that room, and the board were giving me a hard time. And so I fought back and I said, you know, guys, don't give me a hard time. I'm not even a director. I'm a nobody. So don't give me a hard time. You should be embarrassed. You could fix this business. And I was in that room for 4 hours, 4 hours. And it was the Piech family and the Porsche family who owned the business. All these guys sitting asking me these questions. And then I left, and I'd gone in with a colleague of mine who was German. I didn't speak much German at the time. And Armin was German, so he spoke German. And I said to him afterwards, well, and he said, no, he said, they were listening. They were listening. He said, their side conversations were positive. And literally 15 minutes later, they invited us back in. And they said to me, right, you're the new managing director. And they said to Armin, you're the new finance director. And that plan that you've written on all these flip charts all around the room for 4 hours, that's the plan. Make it happen.
Yeah. Well,
that's what we did. That's what we did.
Good. Thank you for that. All right. Another question that has just come in is, how do you turn around or how do you do what you do best? How do you transform an NGO? Especially when, the resources at an NGO are pretty much voluntary.
Yeah. Honestly, it's still about leadership and passion. So in South Africa, you will see, if anybody follows me on LinkedIn, I have a post here in my book, which is 2/3 written, which I need to finish this weekend. And it's a post about an organization that we have in South Africa, which is an NGO, a not-for-profit organization, however you mention it, where we do pay some of the staff. It's not all voluntary. We do pay some of the junior staff, but it's about leadership. And what we've done there is we believe passionately that the only way to relieve poverty in the long term is not through government handouts and charitable handouts. It's by enabling people to develop their own income, their own wealth, their own business. And these are rural entrepreneurs. These are people on micro businesses. But we created this organization, I think it's 6, 7, 8 years ago now, I can't remember. And we have trained 8,000 entrepreneurs. They have created 5,000 businesses. And most of those businesses are now providing support to anything from 5 to 20 people by us helping them, teaching them to become entrepreneurs and how to run a business. Now, the passion in that organization is extraordinary. We don't make a profit. We do not make a profit. All of the funds into that company come from corporates. We go out to corporates and say, listen, you have charitable contributions, put a little bit this way, and we'll show you how we spend it. So we measure it very carefully. And we can show people where their funds have gone. But it's the same process. It is absolutely the same process. It is the passion. It is sharing the dream, but it's about having a structured plan. Without a plan, dreams are just dreams. You have to have the plan to implement it.
So it's the same circle of commit, connect, and
create
or deliver. Yes, sure, fabulous.
All right. And when people can see the progress, then the commitment grows because they realize that they're actually making a difference. It's wow. Then it becomes self-sustaining.
Yes.
So that's how we've done it.
Okay. All right. So another question that's come in and says, what's the secret of your success, Kevin?
What's the secret of what success?
What's the secret of your success, your personal success? What is the secret of it, and what really inspires you?
So I love a challenge. You look at my private life, I've done the poles and the mountains and rode an ocean. I love the challenge. And honestly, the tougher the better. The Atlantic was an extraordinary challenge. I mean, it was just beyond anything I expected. Tough. So I enjoy the challenge, but I also enjoy building things. And I said, I'm an engineer. I'm a structural engineer. I started my life building buildings. So I enjoy seeing a building go up. Well, now I enjoy seeing teams grow, and I enjoy seeing businesses grow. Secret of my success, I don't know, am I successful? I still work 18 hours every day. I'm here in my office at home. And I joked with you, Emma, before we came on to say, I think I've grown roots here. I've been here for 5 weeks without moving. I think I've got roots now.
Yeah.
But I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. I only took up speaking a couple of years ago because people were asking me, could you come and speak? And then I enjoyed it because I realized that people are getting ideas and thoughts from what I'm saying to help them. Well, that's great. I love passing it on. There you go. I've spent 30 years making the mistakes. My job is to make sure you don't make the same mistakes that I made. So I don't know.
Okay.
Am I successful? I don't know.
Well, thanks for that. All right, so the questions have really started pouring now. We have another about 12 minutes for questions. So if you don't mind, Kevin, I'll keep asking you until then. Yeah. Well, there's one repetitive question that has come in, and that is, what is your ride? What do you drive?
I always get asked that. Okay, so I have 2 cars. I have an Audi A6 all-road because here, my house is a farm. And in the winter, we get big snow here. So getting up and out of the farm is quite tricky. So I have an Audi A6 4-wheel drive. And I also have an Aston Martin, which I drive at the weekends.
Okay, all right. So for all you car enthusiasts out there, that's what Kevin drives. Kevin, a lot of the
There's the Aston.
participants today,
See the
is
picture of
that
the
the
Aston?
one? Yes, yes, you see it, beautiful car. So a lot of the participants today, own and manage their own businesses.
Yep.
And I personally know a number of them who were, very successful employees and, decided to go down the entrepreneurial route. Yeah. So one of the questions that have come in is says that, listen, if someone decides to just exit and has reached towards what they think is the end of the road, or a move or an opportunity that is not really moving, what would you advise them to do as one final check before they actually, move out? Or
Sorry, is this when they are an employee or when they're running their own business?
No, when they're running their own business, this is just not moving. I tried this business for long enough. I've, extinguished my resources.
Yeah.
Just before I call it a day, what would your advice be for them to try one last time?
Do you know, I've just been through that with one of my CEOs who I know is finding the current difficulties very challenging. She's an incredibly capable lady. She's never had to lead through adversity. And she was on the point last week of saying, I can't do this anymore. And this morning, I sat with her for a telephone with her for an hour and said, just step back a minute, step back. Park the difficulties we've got at the minute, which are all about cash flow. We have no customers. Everybody stopped buying our product. I said, let's put that on one side. That's short term. What is it you want to do? What is your dream? Explain to me how you will be successful. What will it look like when you're successful? So we had the discussion, not around the business, more about what is it that she wants to achieve. And she talked herself right round to where we were 2 years ago when we started this business. And she said, I'm so excited about what it could be. I said, yes, so am I. So let's find a way through the next 3 months and 6 months. And after that, we'll be flying. So the question I would say to somebody who's finding their business really challenging is step back and ask yourself, what is your ambition? And if it's not that business, then find a way to move out of it. But if it is that business, then invite somebody in with fresh ideas, just to talk to you. Ring me up and say, hey, Kev, I've got a business like this. This is happening. How do I start to look at it? And it is, there's an English saying, which is, a problem shared is a problem halved. And sometimes you need that different perspective, because if you're deep in it, you can talk yourself into that hole. You just need sometimes to come out of it. Find somebody to talk to.
Right. Okay. Well, the next question is actually quite an interesting one, and it seems that this person has made up their mind on what they need to do, and they're asking for your advice on how do they approach the management to tell them you suck, basically.
Um,
What's what's the best way you can tell that to the management that you could do better and we could do without your guidance?
yeah, it's a case of understanding what's the motivation of the management, and who do the management report to, who are the ultimate shareholders, who are the ultimate decision makers on the business. And there are constructive ways you can go to somebody and say, hey, listen, you don't have to tell them that they suck. You tell them, listen, we've been looking at this business, my division, my team, me and my colleague, we've been looking at this business, and we could imagine that it could do A, B, and C. And to do A, B, and C, we'd like to talk to you about how we could make that happen. So you try and engage them in that conversation.
Okay.
If they don't want to be engaged, then ultimately, can you go past them? Because if they are the blockage, the shareholders won't want to see that blockage. And then the third position is, if nobody is listening to you, vote with your feet.
Yeah.
That's the reality of the world.
Mm.
Don't spend the next 2 years banging your head on that wall.
Mm.
Go follow your own dream.
That's very valuable advice. Yes, indeed. All right. Okay.
But in the first instance, you don't have to cheese off your boss. Approach it on, hey, we've been looking and we could imagine how, and you could be part of this. You could be the hero, because if we build this, you could be the hero. And if they really don't engage, then
yeah. So that would partly be sort of upward management. So you're trying to put your boss or your superior share your dream. This is what
exactly that.
Okay. So the next question is, during an organizational transformation, as you've done many, how do you balance between the speed of transformation, yeah, because you need to get on with it, and ensuring sustainability, activities like building capabilities,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
social entrepreneurship,
yeah.
corporate social citizenship, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you're right. You can move a business so quickly that you can break it, and that certainly is not helpful. And again, if you read the process through the book, we talk about prioritizing, and we prioritize 3 times to find the absolute projects and tasks that we are going to do to create the biggest difference. But we recognize if we don't have the skill set, then we've got to train in the skill set. And we do recruit in. Sometimes we do recruit in, but mostly 95% plus we do with the existing team, but we help them to grow. And the reality is, unless you're moving from selling IT to selling ice creams, you're typically not changing a business that much. And people are extraordinary. People are far more capable than we tend to give them credit for being. And so as long as you support people and help them to grow and learn, they will come with you on the journey. So I've never had it that the business fails because it's not sustainable. Never had that.
Okay, fair enough. Um, I'll take perhaps another question or so. So the question says, how do you manage to keep a team driven and focused for a 1,000-day plan, on a 1,000-day plan, when their boards don't really share the same goals for the business?
Sorry, when who doesn't share the same goals?
The board. So this is a person asking, well, I guess, there are probably 2 questions here. One is, how do you manage to keep a team motivated for 1,000 days?
Yeah.
1,000 days is 3 and a bit years, right? So, or 3 years. So how do you manage to keep a team of people motivated for that long? And if that board was not on with you on the same ideas, that makes it even a bigger challenge, doesn't it?
Okay, so there's two pieces to this. One is, are the board committed to the same plan? And if they're not, you've got a fundamental problem. So that's where I start. I start with the board. And the Fairline, the boat company, we did some things very, very quickly within the factory to let the team see that we were serious about changing this business. But then I took the board off site. And I can tell you the first meeting was terrible. They didn't see why they needed to change. They didn't have any ideas about the change. They didn't want to. And so I had to capture their minds and take them to a new level. And at that point, there were some people who was clear to me were not going to be part of the future. And I spoke to them privately and said, listen, it seems to me you don't share this dream. And if that's the case, then my strong suggestion is you go and look for your own dream elsewhere. You're not a bad person, but you don't fit in this dream. So I've got to get the board combined. There's no two ways about that. If you've got one person on the board who's speaking a different story, it destroys the whole thing. So that's number one. The second part, the 1,000 days, there are a series of projects within there. And I keep going back to the book, but again, in the book, you'll see pictures of these projects. And some of them might be 12 days long. Some of them are 27 days. Some of them are 200 days. And these are the projects, these are the tasks that we are completing to transform the business. And so people are engaged in these short-term projects, and we break them down into 50-day pieces, 50 days. We never think longer on the task than 50 days. And we celebrate the progress at the end of 50 days.
Okay.
It is a case of having, small wins all the way through, and people feel good about it.
Quick
Whereas
wins.
if it's a 720-day project, people forget what they ever set out to do.
Indeed, indeed. No, that's very, very useful recommendation. So I take away quick wins and then celebrate them. Quick wins and then celebrate them.
Yes.
Fabulous. All right. One last question then is, and this has come in a couple of times, is there a structured change management process that you recommend, Kevin?
Yes.
And
it's all in the book. It's all in the book. I'm really not trying to sell the book, but yeah. I've developed it over 30 years and it's all in there. How to do it, what to do next, and how it follows. And that's the process I use. I'm not saying it's the best process. I'm not saying any such thing. It's something that I have developed with a team of people as we've learned going through these things. I think I've done 14 companies now. I think it's 14.
Yes.
And learning's all in there.
Fabulous. So your so to a certain extent, your book is also about change management then.
Yeah, it is the stories of how we transform some of these businesses, and running through it is the process.
Right. Okay. Well, I started reading the synopsis of your book, and it sounds very, very interesting. I'm definitely going to get my copy and start reading it. Highly recommended, people. Look up Kevin's book on inspirational leadership. Kevin, thank you so much on behalf of the Middle East Leadership Academy. This 60 minutes have really been a great investment for us. Thank you for doing this, and I'm sure we will look you up when we need to separately. We'll share the contact details for people who want to approach you directly.
Great. Well, thank you, and thanks to everybody for your time.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Stay safe. Stay safe.